Welcome back to New Rockstars, my Wookiee freaks. It's me, Tommy B. Once again, it's time for a bad boy breaking down a big old bunch of Bad Batch. Specifically episodes 9 and 10, The Crossing and The Retrieval. I loved this two-part adventure because it showcases each member of the Bad Batch, minus Echo, and their individual skills and personalities. Also, these episodes once again shone a light on Omega being much more capable of taking care of herself. I'm going to treat these episodes as one large breakdown because it is basically one story. But before we get started, you know I have to let you know where to get this sick-ass shirt. It's all over at nerdriot.shop. We have Last of Us shirts. We'll be putting out a Mando Season 3 shirt soon. Lots of good stuff, so head on over to nerdriot.shop. Get you one of these. Back to the Bad Batch. The Marauder is headed to a desert planet, and we get a sweet Star Wars Western music mashup, I gotta say. Brought me back to my old days as a cowboy. Most horses are afraid of me. They're not built for men like me, I'll be honest. I'll also be honest, I was expecting some dueling at high noon with this episode, but I think what we got was better. The Batch, minus Echo again, who is now rolling with Captain Rex, are headed to an old mine that Sid has acquired to extract anything left of value. In this case, we've got Ipsoum, a highly volatile raw mineral whose power is compared to an explosion from a thermal detonator. Now, don't confuse this with coaxium from Solo, a Star Wars movie, which is highly volatile and its power is compared to an explosion from a thermal detonator. Omega is struggling with Echo's exit from the group as her already unstable life has become even more unstable. On the opposite side, Tech is unable to offer any sort of comfort, as to him, Echo is on another mission and that's all there is to it. This dynamic is tested throughout the episode with some pretty compelling results. Tech's scanner reads in Arabesh and I picked up Ipsoum detected. Hey, baby's first translation. Not bad. Thank you, Erik Voss. That sets in motion the search for whatever Ipsoum might be left in this well-picked-over mine. I mean, honestly, it looks like one of those old gold mines that just has dead canaries in it. Well, they do find some, and it's up to the slider-framed Omega to reach it and extract it using Tech's extraction drill. Omega leaves Wrecker alone to guard the Marauder, and it's immediately stolen because Wrecker should not be guarding anything, and the Bad Batch is now stranded at the mine. Omega is able to extract a few canisters of Ipsoum before the Batch starts walking through the canyons to seek a spaceport they detected nearby. Unfortunately, they get caught in a Lion King scenario, complete with Wrecker falling Mufasa style into the charging animals, but he's Wrecker, so he survives, and then they're caught in this wind and dust storm that sends them running into another mine, and the Ipsoum is left outside and detonated, trapping them inside in some sort of avalanche. Now that they're trapped inside, Omega feels more lost than ever and requests some time to be alone with her feelings. She's walking around and she discovers a huge deposit of Ipsoum. In her efforts to extract it, she accidentally falls into an underground river. Tech sees this and jumps in after her, and let me tell you why this feels significant to me. Tech is a pragmatic man who thinks through the odds of everything. We saw that in the first episode of the season when he's dealing with the escape pods and their likelihood of survival, and then we saw it in the speeder racing episode where he becomes an expert racer by doing all of the formulas and all the calculations. Here, he just jumps in blindly without thinking because Omega is in danger. He only cares about saving her. He doesn't have time to do any calculations. He just jumps in. That's growth, baby. That's growth. The two make it to the end of the river and they see daylight. After radioing Hunter and Wrecker, they're able to blast out with some of the Ipsoum. Now, this is a real Deus Ex Ipsoum to me, because Ipsoum can either destroy things or free you, however you need it. They're able to make it to the nearby spaceport, but discover it is abandoned. Thankfully, there's a comms tower, and they're able to reach Sid, who tells them, "Thanks so much, I cannot help you." Now, I think this is the beginning of Sid turning on the Bad Batch. She's breaking Bad Batch. Malagi warned them in the speeder race episode, and it seems like Tech has had his moments doubting Sid's loyalty, but her being completely unable to rescue them, or then tells them to wait a few days after they kind of guilt trip her about having covered for her many other times, it makes me think she's gonna, eventually turn them over to the Empire. The Bad Batch is now left in an abandoned town, hungry and looking for a way out. We catch up with them again, hungry, tired, and cranky. The Bad Batch's best hope of escape might be in a broken down skiff. Now here, skiff is kind of a catch-all term for ships in Star Wars. I checked on Wikipedia and they had 23 different types of skiffs just for land. My guess is if this is technically a skiff, it's gotta be a modified desert sports skiff, like this Luke Skywalker toy drove, or it's just a speeder they're calling a skiff. You tell me in the comments angrily. Please don't use any kind of measure or care for my feelings, just yell at me in all caps. Powering the skiff reminds Omega that Gonki might still be on the Marauder, and they could track him and find the ship by communicating with him. Gonki actually is with Benny, a young thief who works for the gluttonous, greedy gangster Mako, who rules over the Ipsoum mine using kids as workers and paying them in food and water occasionally. Mako lets Benny keep Gonki as a show of gratitude. The Bad Batch tracks down Gonki's signal and confronts Benny. Benny tries to escape on the repaired skiff, and Wrecker clotheslines him off it in what I think is the funniest moment of the show so far. We find out that the mine had previously been controlled by the Techno Union. The Techno Union was a commerce guild comprised of various technology firms in the galaxy. It played a prominent role in the Separatist crisis as foreman Wat Tambor allied it with Count Dooku and the Confederacy of Independent Systems. Despite holding a seat on the Separatist Council and pledging their droid army to the Confederacy military during the Clone Wars, the Techno Union maintained their neutrality in the conflict, with many of their subsidiaries producing starships and weapons in the Galactic Republic. Nevertheless, after the conclusion of the war, the remnants of the Techno Union would be absorbed by the Republic's successor, the Galactic Empire. Thank you, Wikipedia. Now I know what the Techno Guild was. Mako is protected by guard droids that stand on two legs like Net 8 and Kenobi and K2SO, and perhaps they're left over from the Techno Union's reign. If you know the names of these droids, let me know in the comments. And again, don't take my feelings into account. Write it in all caps and maybe say something about my body as well. If you see me walking around with a little extra spring in my step this week, it's because our newest designs just dropped over at nerdriot.shop. And they're for the upcoming Mandalorian Season 3. We got two shirt designs, one with Grogu's lovable head and one with Din Djarin's metallic mug. I think they're both cute, and you can make them kiss. Both designs have Arabesh wording that translates to the Foundling and the Way, respectively, in a style that's inspired by Beskar steel. I'm inspired by Beskar steel every day. When you buy one of these shirts, you get the option to buy a special shout out on our WikiLeaks after show once the series starts in March. I'll wish your girlfriend a happy birthday. Or Eric Voss can say a prayer for the Foundlings that didn't make it through the struggle. Whatever you want. Also, at nerdriot.shop, our Quantumania line of shirts and hoodies are on sale. Everything is 15% off until the end of February. Get the new Mando designs and all of our other merch offerings at nerdriot.shop. Do it! Benny heads back to Mako's hangout where some other kids are playing a dominoes-like game. It's not sabacc, these are smaller chip-like tiles. Benny is devastated to learn he is not the top earner, but rather an older kid, Drake, wins, and he gets a measly bowl of soup while Mako pigs out. And that's enough to radicalize Benny and the Bad Batch's cause and help them figure out a way to lower the shield so they can escape. That's right. You don't give a kid soup, he's gonna side with the other side, okay? The Batch repairs the ship, but Mako captures Omega. We have a standoff with Mako and his miners, because they're children, and the Bad Batch, but Benny informs the workers that Mako is lying to them, keeping all the profits, while also eating all the good food and feeding them gruel, for crying out loud. Please, sir, may I have another? The workers turn on Mako and he falls overboard into the depths of the mine. So Omega escapes herself and she leaps and swings into the arms of Hunter. This is an example of Omega kind of carrying her own weight now. She's no longer a damsel in distress. Hunter is leaping to save her, but she recognizes that and she escapes from the droid by herself. I like this independence. I like Omega going in this direction. The Bad Batch is reunited with Sweet Sweet Donkey and they fly off with the Marauder for their next adventure. Speaking of next adventures, I'm off to mine. That's all for me. Don't forget to follow New Rockstars. Check out nerdwire.shop and follow me at Tommy Bechtold. That's all for now. I have spoken.